All right. Hi, we're here with the very first edition of Live from the Bunker during a pandemic. Thankfully, there have not been zombies, or we would be in much worse shape than this. Anyway, since I cannot come join all of you fine folks on a normal book tour with signings and readings and all kinds of fun stuff like that, I'm forced to do it through social distancing, i.e., how you're seeing me. So, I'm going to do a reading tonight from my new novel that will be officially out on Tuesday, Cult of the Gator God. It came out a little early on Kindle because Amazon does that to you. I think they think it's funny. You give them a date and they go, how about days earlier? But be that as it may, so you can run out, and if you have a Kindle and you like Kindle, you can get it on Kindle now. Isn't that cool? Before it's even out. Wow. So it's out but out. It's an existential book at the moment. But anyway, let's get to the important question. Is that my natural hair color? Yes, that's exactly what it says on my driver's license. Mom used to take vacations at Bikini Atoll. Everybody told her not to, but some people just don't listen. Anyway, I also have copies of Cult of the Gator God coming to me that I will be happy to sign for all you fine folks for list price plus $4 shipping. I'll sign whatever you want within reason. I mean, nothing legally binding, definitely not. I'm not saying I don't trust you. It's just, I know my friends. Anyway, also have it right now if you want some. Is I can sign copies of you of my novel, I Never Eat Cheesesteak, my novella, A New Life, and some anthologies I'm in, including the Creeping Corruption anthology, Weird Book number 40, Weird Book number 35, the Weird Book Witches Annual, the very awesome Kids of the Black Hole anthology, and I also take photos, and I have a photo or so in this, The Finger, from 2018. So if you want any of those, contact me on Facebook at my author page, Paul Lubaczewski, Paul J. Earlson, author. I should spell my last name, Lubaczewski. And you can also find me on Twitter at Paul Lubaczewski. Okay, we're not doing a live reading. We're doing a tape reading on YouTube because that way I can drink water, I can vape, I can go to the bathroom if I want. I mean, I could do all that with the camera running, but I think that goes against, at least the bathroom part goes against YouTube's obscenity clauses, so I don't know if that'd work. But anyway, I'll have this up on YouTube on the 26th. The book is out on the 28th. And I suppose I should stop stalling and get right to it, huh? Or I could stall some more. I mean, it's your time. You can waste it as you see fit. Okay, I'll stop stalling. All right. So no more stalling. On to the reading from Cult of the Gator God, available on Kindle now and on paperback on Tuesday, April 28th. And I should get the hell on with it, huh? Anyway, heading back home, it struck Bob that the move here became all that much more real for him when he pulled his car into his spot in front of his apartment. It was his spot in front of his apartment. For better or for worse, this was home now, with its mold pollen-covered staircase, with the mystery litter he was only noticing now on the landing in front. Home. He was now a resident of Florida. No, it wasn't home. It was just a place he lived for the moment, just like his dorm room had been in college. Mentally, he wanted to stick with that. It was just the place he lived. Maybe that opinion could change one day, but until it did, this was a box he made money to pay for solely for the purpose of housing his stuff until he could move it somewhere else. Home is somewhere that feels like your sanctum, somewhere you run to in times of stress. It was more than the location of your things. It wasn't If it wasn't, you could call a storage facility home and just sleep there. Of course, what you do for a bathroom was sure to be gross if you did. But there was nothing he could do about it now. He'd been leaned on hard enough, he'd accepted a temporary transfer to hold down the fort. Bob resided here now. He had to make the most of it. So rather than whine, he took his groceries inside. He'd have pizza delivered, eat, and after that, well, for one, he'd heard that with all the chemicals in the air, the sunsets were spectacular. So hopefully, viewing one would make him, if not happy, at least content for a while, especially after he got a couple of beers in him. They barbecue smoked the pizza. These people were clearly animals. Despite his disgust, he'd also been hungry, so Bob ate a few slices out of desperation. It was an edible substance, it just wasn't really pizza. With a beer or two to wash it down, it left him pleasantly full, and now he knew better. There had to be pizza from there somewhere, just not the place he called tonight. No harm, no foul overall, even if he did think they should be legally required to warn people that they smoked the pizza, and even if his first instinct had been to storm the place with flaming torches and pitchforks. The pizza joint had only been spared when Bob had realized that he had neither torches nor pitchforks and would have to purchase them. Bob was still bound and determined to enjoy this place, so looking out the window and seeing the shadows lengthen, he decided if he couldn't really enjoy his dinner, he could enjoy a famous Florida sunset. Bob took the other set of steps that led behind the apartment building, walking down to the scruffy grass fighting for its life on the sandy soil. There was a pond out there as well, which should provide a nice contrast to the orange and purple sky, giving the setting sun something to reflect off of. He figured he'd take a few shots with his phone and send them to coworkers and friends up north. Bob knew at least half a dozen people who had dreamed of living in Florida since they had gone to Epcot when they were 12, so even if he himself wasn't happy yet, he still had the option to create jealousy in others, which was its own kind of happiness. Looking out across the pond, he had to admit the skies was beautiful. The various shades warred with each other for dominance, temporarily leaving the light blue of the day to sink slowly below the horizon in a riot of pinks and oranges as the dark blue began to replace it. He noticed that he shared the view with an old man who was walking his little dog. Bob was no expert on dogs, so he would have to describe this one as about the size of a healthy rat, but looking more pitiful and pathetic. The old man himself was staring out at the same vista, his dog wandering around on a little retractable lead, looking for a place to do his business. "You look new here," the old man said, not turning, serenely staring out over the pond. "That obvious, huh?" "Oh, don't worry about it," the man said with a chuckle. "Nobody's from here. I'm from Ohio myself. But you're still sweating, and you don't have a tan, and you aren't wearing sandals, and I live right over there, so I'd have noticed you before now. Just moved in today, Bob Carey. Lived here for 3 years now, Ted Billings. You like it here?" "Good enough. I get arthritis in the winter, so..." The two men lapsed into silence, just taking in the view. The air was already starting to cool down a bit. It wasn't getting chill, Bob suspected it would never do that, but it was becoming bearable. He had to admit, it almost felt nice right here and right now. Him and Ted, and then the sunset by the pond, the sounds of Ted's little dog snuffling around to get all the latest doggy news in the form of pee stains from earlier canine visitors drifting up from around their feet. It was peaceful. A sound that Bob hadn't noticed at first seemed to bring Ted back to the moment. Now that Bob heard it too, it sounded to him almost like a cross between a duck quacking and the almost silent meeping of a kitten. What in the hell is that? He asked, his eyebrows raised. The older man was already scooping up his dog. Come on, Mr. Wrinkles, that's our cue. Ted turned to Bob and said, That, my young friend, is a baby alligator. You're running inside over a baby alligator? How big can it even be? Fun fact about alligators, Bob. The animals are known for this, in fact. A very, very maternal animal is your mother alligator. And there we go. There's a reading from Cult of the Gator God, available on Kindle right now and available everywhere, and I do mean everywhere, on the 28th. You can hit me up to order a signed copy of that when I have them, and until then, if you feel like getting a signed copy of something else, you can hit me up for that. This is a little earlier than I intended to do this, but with it already being out on Kindle, I kind of had to jump the gun because I had the gun jumped on me, and now we're on a gun jumping standoff, and I hope this completes it. So I hope you enjoyed that little snippet, and it is a little snippet just to give you an idea of the humor and the situation. Trying to think of anything clever or intelligent or necessary or controversial that would get me trending on Twitter, and nope, got nothing. So I hope you enjoyed. Hope you get the book. Hope you enjoy the book. And if you want it signed, in lieu of me actually coming to a bookstore near you, you can just buy it off me. But if you don't feel like going through the rigmarole of getting it signed, it will be everywhere, from Barnes & Noble. Cheesesteak was at Target, Walmart. That's weird to me. And of course, the mighty, mighty Amazon, because everything on earth is available from Amazon. Everything. Even things you have never, ever thought of. Somebody is selling it on Amazon. Unless, of course, you want to get a vape pen. That apparently is the line they draw. Probably buy slaves on Amazon, but vape pens that's too much, a bridge too far for Amazon. So now that I've made fun of my the source of my book, I think we'll sign off on that. Have fun, guys, and hopefully next time I have a novel out, I can just come to your place. Later.